Sophia,
Yeah.
we're only a handful of episodes in on this new season, this spring anime season, and it seems like Spy X Family is already like the first verified hit of the season. So I
Yeah.
guess the first question I want to ask you is how are we going to pronounce Spy X Family? Is it Spy Family? Is it Spy versus Family? Spy by Family? Or just simply Spy X Family? How are you going to say the name of the show?
Well, I know it's most likely supposed to be pronounced Spy Family, but like I'm probably gonna call it Spy X Family. That's just how I am. I don't know. At the very least, that's how I'll say it in my head.
Is that what makes it like the easiest way to remember what it is to call it that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's because I know this is wrong, but I always say Hunter X Hunter because I
Yeah.
didn't know how to pronounce it because I never met anybody that had ever watched it.
So it just kind of stayed a habit for you?
Yeah, I know it's wrong. I know now that it's wrong, but it's just gonna be like that.
And we're 5 episodes in, and we were going to do this a week ago. And then I tested positive for COVID. So we canceled it because I didn't want to like get you sick. But then, like a couple days ago, you tested positive for COVID. So if we both
Yeah.
have COVID, we can make the video together, right? That's not hurting
Woo!
anybody. Uh, so that's how it wound up being made on the schedule it's being made on.
We're COVID buddies for life.
But I'm going to say that I think part of the reason that Spy Family has become such a breakout hit early on in the season is because it does what I call it casts a pretty wide net. Like it has a little something for everybody. It's got the adorable component, kind of the sweet stuff. It's got action. It's got like the spy thing. It's a little bit of a period piece. It's even got like the assassin mom. What do you think about like the idea of the wide net that it's casting here?
I really like it because as someone that really only watched shonens, I can appreciate it for the action aspect, but people who like slice of life more can like appreciate the family bond, every day. I think it's just really cool and it's a very smart thing they did. They can get a lot more people to watch it.
I think the slice of life is a pretty nice part of it, but I
Mhm.
don't think it succeeds on just one part personally. I think it
Yeah.
blends so well together, and I think that's a big part of it.
Mhm.
It's got this hilarious kind of captivating subject matter about a guy trying to build a family, like a fake family for a secret mission, and it kind of helps that the little girl's kind of adorable, right?
Yeah, I think the whole family is like such a cute little family unit. And the best part is like getting to watch this guy actually get a bond with the people that are supposed to be his fake family, but they're slowly becoming like his real family.
It's like they're three misfits that are kind of finding a way to fit in together, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, aside from like the heartwarming part and like the humor, which they use some pretty good humor, but I think something that's real important in this show is that the action actually works on its own. Like it stands alone as good action sequences. They're not like good action sequences for a slice of life. They're not good action sequences for comedy. I think they're good action sequences for an action anime. What do you think about those?
Yeah,
Like the spy
they're
sequences.
they're really fun and like they're really like anxiety producing, which is a good thing. And the animation holds up too. Like it's done so well. I was very surprised.
Well, the animation is super clean.
Oh my
Like I
gosh,
think that's
yeah.
part of the secret ingredient there is that clean cut, that beautiful art. Wit is one of the studios that's doing the animation for this one. The other one is Cloverworks. They're both like super. They both have great reputations. I know Wit a little bit better because Wit worked on the first 3 seasons of Attack on Titan, and I hold Wit's animation style in high regard. But I think you can definitely see this is something that stands even above what I'm used to with Wit, and the beauty of each panel and each frame I think really helps make this more enjoyable too. I mean, if it was just getting by on the story or on the action, it would be a great show, but adding that exceptional art I think lifts it a little bit higher. What do you think about the art?
Yeah, I love it actually, especially with all the town scenes. They're really pretty and they look real, Like it's something you
Yes.
can actually imagine existing. Like it looks so pretty and in
And
the
the town is kind of set on like Cold War 1960s era Berlin, East Berlin and West Berlin, and I
Mhm.
think that is illustrated really well and shows through really clearly there
Yeah.
too. I've been to Berlin. I don't think you've ever been to Berlin.
No, I might though.
And it does have some clever dialogue and some great storytelling. And I mean, just overall, like the it creates a show that's really a joy to watch for me. I love the dialogue in particular between Anya and Lloyd, who's her adoptive father here. I love the interplay. What do you think about the dialogue and the storytelling?
It's really cool, especially like the inner dialogue. And the show does this really cool thing with Anya where she can like be telepathic. So we'll like listen to people's inner dialogue through Anya, which I
Which is
find
a
is like so
nice,
cool.
yeah, that's a nice conceit. It's a good storytelling device to let
Hmm.
us know what's going on so that you can sort of handhold without handholding. It allows you to both show and tell at the same time. I like that. But I really like this setting. Like I said, it kind of has this 60s Berlin feeling, like this Cold War era. And they even talk about the Eastern country and the Western country, and that's what all the spy work is going on. It really has, to me, like a classic era spy feeling, like The Man from Uncle, even more than James Bond, because like James Bond, those stories, those 007 movies have updated and they've kind of become current in each generation. But like The Man from Uncle sort of feels stuck in that Cold War 60s. They even have a cartoon character in the show named Mr. Bondman that makes you think about James Bond. But for me, I'm a little bit older. I really love this Berlin, I think is the name of the town, but this
Yeah.
Berlin divided between the East and the West. This setting is so fun for me. It reminds me of older stuff I watched as a kid and how I was mesmerized growing up during the Cold War. How does it set with you? Because you don't have that same relationship with East Germany and West Germany that I had when I was your age.
I think it's just like a really cool look into kind of someone's interpretation of history. And I actually just learned about the Cold War and all of that in history class, so I can like kind of understand it better.
Sure.
But it's really cool. I don't know. It's just really interesting.
And then, of course, it's really nice because Anya, the little girl, is a big fan of spy cartoons, which she seems a little young to be liking spy cartoons. I guess they're like Danger Mouse or something, but I enjoy that too. It gives us another way where she's mesmerized by the fictional version of like this real world that's going on around her here.
Yeah, I think I was super into Inspector Gadget when I was younger. It kind of
Yes.
reminds me of that.
Okay, Inspector Gadget. I didn't even think about that. But the whole central idea of the story is that Lloyd, who's also known as Twilight, well, he has to put this family together because he needs a fake family. He needs a daughter to get into this private school because, like, the main bad guy, his child goes to this private school and he's got to get in to meet him. I think it's called Operation Strix.
Mhm.
But one thing I want to say is, like, the actual mission that he's on really isn't that important. What you need to
Yeah.
know is that he has to build a family to complete that mission. So the mission itself, you don't have to get too caught up in. What's fun is what he does to try and complete that mission. That's what I enjoy seeing here.
They really only mention the mission a handful of times, and like what you actually watch is pretty much their day to day life and like their way of getting through these like mundane tasks.
Yeah.
Like trying to just go out and have fun as a family. They get into a whole mess of who knows what.
And I mean, in the first episode, it starts off with, it gives us a twist right up front that I wasn't expecting, because when Lloyd, the spy, has to get a daughter, he goes to an orphanage and he finds Anya. And of course, out of all the children that he could pick out, he picks out one that just happens to be telepathic. So there's a touch of sci-fi here. In fact, I told somebody it almost has like a little bit of a Stranger Things feeling, like she's sort of an 11 type that was grown in a laboratory and now she's an orphan without a family, and he comes in and kind of is going to adopt her into his own family. But right off the bat, I sort of knew a little bit about what the anime was going to be about, but it caught me off guard with that whole science fiction element of the daughter having that telepathic ability. What did you think about that?
Well, at the beginning, I didn't really know how I was gonna feel about it, because sometimes I want to just sit down and watch like a normal anime, not like normal, but people that are normal don't have powers, and I was kind of
Yeah.
like, oh man, why'd they do that? But like the more I kept watching it,
That's what
it
makes it
seemed
fun.
better.
Yeah.
It got better.
I have to have some kind of a hook before I can watch anything, you know? And she has like those little hats that she wears on her head, and I feel like those have something to do with her telepathic ability. Like, do you think that she has little antennae underneath those or little horns or something? Like, I feel like those have something to do with her being telepathic. I wonder if we'll ever get to see what's underneath those.
I don't know. I think honestly, it might just be a hairstyle preference.
I just feel like that's her telepathic ability, or those weird little hats on each side that look like cat ears or something. But, you know, one thing that's at the core, and this is where the heart or the sweetness comes through on the show, is that Anya just wants so badly to be loved. Like, even though her daddy is a liar, which she likes to point out all the time, She just wants him to love her so badly. Whenever she thinks she's going to disappoint him, she can read his mind, and she gets real upset when she thinks she's going to let him down.
Yeah, and there's a couple times too where Lloyd will be like, as soon as this mission's over, I'm getting rid of her. I'm putting her back in the orphanage. But like, then there's other
And
times
she
where
knows he's thinking that, but she
yeah,
doesn't know.
I think it's whenever she's asleep, he thinks
Yeah.
that. But then like, there's other times where you can see that he clearly cares for her because he almost like decks a dude.
Yes.
So
He's very protective. That's for sure. But one of my favorite things that keeps popping up is because she can read his mind and she knows he's a spy. Well, to be a spy, you have to use subterfuge or deception. So to the child, to the how old is she? 5 years old?
I think
Something like
she's
that?
6.
Yeah, to the 6-year-old, that just means he's a liar. So I have a lot of fun because she knows daddy is a liar, and that's how she describes her daddy is a liar. That's her interpretation of a deceptive spy.
And her facial expressions, anytime like one of them's thinking something weird, they're like, "Oh, I gotta kill this guy," and she's like, "Oh,"
Yeah.
it's really funny.
She's got very expressive eyes. I'll say that. Now, what do you think about the woman who's recruited for the mother/wife role? Yor is her name, and she's this Black Widow style assassin. And that brings kind of like a comic book level of action into the classic spy action and the science fiction action that we've gotten so far. It adds like a whole nother dimension. And I think she's a really cool character. What do you think about Yor?
I think she's super cool. When I first saw like the promotional material for this, I thought it was gonna be all about her. I was like, "Oh, we're gonna follow this lady that's a spy," and like
She's not
I
even
was
a spy.
surprised.
She's just
Yeah,
an
she's not
assassin.
even
Well,
a
not
spy.
just an assassin. She is an assassin. She's like Black Widow.
She's really cool though. At first, it was a little weird how she was like, she seemed dumb.
I know, in her sort of civilian persona, she seems really simple and like really naive, but then she's
Yeah.
this deadly assassin when she decides to do it. And in the last episode, she's getting a few drinks in her, so she's kind of letting down her facade, so she starts doing a lot of kicks and stuff, and then she just passes out.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah, she's a great character. I think she's going to be a lot of people's favorite. I think that
yeah.
all three of these principal characters are going to have folks who say that each of them is going to have their own fandom, I believe.
hmm
But I do think it's a little too convenient the way that the woman he just randomly kind of picks out to play the role of his wife just happens to be this deadly assassin. A little too much happenstance, if you will. But because the show's so satisfying, I'm not even slowing down to like think about that or to complain about it. I allow it just because I'm having so much fun with the show. How do you feel about the convenience of the random person he picks out happens to be the deadliest assassin in West Germany?
I think it's kind of how convenient it was that he picked out a telepath out of an
Yes.
orphanage, out of all of
That's
all
what
of
makes the
Berlin,
story good,
all
right?
of the kids. You
What are
kinda
the
have to, like,
chances?
you have to kind of see past it, you know?
Yeah. And with Anya and her ability to read minds, of course, there's going to be a whole lot of comedic moments and there's a lot of like sweet moments. But like I said before, the action is really sold at face value. It's action as good as the action you'd see in any of the typical shonen. I mean, it doesn't have the more fantastic elements. Instead of swords, we're using clubs and canes, but still, it's like great combat and fighting and good flips and twists and turns. And I think that the action really sells itself in its own right, like I said before.
Yeah, it honestly feels a lot more real than a lot of the other shonen fights.
You're right. You're right
It
about
feels
that.
a
It's
lot more
it's
like it could
grounded
actually
and
happen.
it's
Mhm.
grounded and down to earth. And those action-based scenes are just as important as anything else in these first 5 episodes. I think it helps reach that broader audience where the person who maybe isn't going to enjoy the sweet stuff and the person who maybe isn't going to enjoy the action as much, both of them are coming together and enjoying the show because it treats each one as if that's the central premise of the show. And it doesn't feel diluted or watered down. I mean, they really seem to blend together great, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like also a lot of the action scenes feel like a lot more relatable than if you were watching an anime where they're like up in the sky shooting lasers at each other. You know, it like you actually feel what the characters are feeling.
And here's a question I have for you when I'm watching it is like on the premise of the show, the happy family is supposed to be a facade. Like that's the fake part is they're pretending to be a happy family while they're really an assassin and a telepath and a spy on a mission. But what I'm seeing as the show starts to unfold is maybe the happy family is actually what they really are, and it's the intrigue that's the actual mask. Like, I think we're going to find near the end that the faking part is what is supposed to be the real part. Like, I think it's going to get turned on its ear by the end, where the more real aspect is the family and the less real is the job to do. What do you think about that kind of twist happening?
I think so far it's starting to like kind of bleed into that. Where like there will be instances like during the interview they were getting really mad, and like they both Lloyd and Yor were both like, why do I feel like this isn't a real family, why, what's happening?
Yes.
And then they like almost kill someone. So
Yes, and it was worth it too. The guy deserved it. He was a jerk. But I do think that the idea is, what is the mask and what is the real identity is going to get reversed 180 degrees by the end of the first season here. But we do deal with Anya's fear of abandonment, because we did hear early on that she'd been sort of been sent with more than one family that had taken her back to the orphanage. So she kind of failed to launch with other families. And that, I think, is what brings a whole lot of the heart into it, as we see how determined she is to make this work, because her part in this plan is not a small part. She has to actually get into this school and use her telepathic abilities to cheat on tests and things like that. And I think her fear of being abandoned yet again, and her determination to stick with the family, is part of the motor that keeps pushing everything forward, just as much as Lloyd's determination to be the best spy in all of Spydom, I guess, Twilight.
yeah, and I think she's also slowly learning to realize that she's around to stay for a while, you know?
She's getting a little more confident in her position, yes, and I think she's around for more than a while. I think they're going to stick together. And, dialogue that feels pretty natural. I don't know how you feel about it, because I know you normally will watch dubs, but with this one, the sub's the only thing available right now. Are you still feeling kind of the naturalness of the dialogue through the sub, or is it a little trickier for you?
Yeah, it still feels really natural. I feel like a lot of the times in animes, regardless if there's if it's subbed or dubbed, it'll feel like some parts will feel weird. And so far, this has felt like really like what they would say, especially with Anya. I feel like with little kids, they can get it wrong really quickly.
Yeah.
But hers feels like,
Hers is great.
some 6-year-old would say that.
I love, like, she's showing off her room. She really likes to show off, everything is hers. And when you're a little kid, that's how it is. Like, this is Anya's kitchen, and this is Anya's house and Anya's table. And that's a lot of fun. But overall, its balance, I think, is one of the keys. I mean, it's a lighthearted and touching family comedy, but it's also got this action-filled spy drama. And I think that's what's making it so popular right out of the gate.
Yeah, it's really, easy to mess up that balance, and push it too far one way, but the creators got it right. It's really good.
Yeah, they've done really well with this one. And, everything that I've talked about with balance and with how much goes into it to make it work and how there's stuff from different directions, I think at the end, it probably is the heart of the story that puts it over the hump, though. That's what people are going to be a sucker for, that keeps people really invested in coming back. And it's the oohs and the ahs, I think, that really make it go from being like a good show to being a great show.
Yeah, and it's not like a super complex story either. It's pretty simple, but that simplicity makes it so I don't know, just good. It's very good.
Yeah. Well, do you think after this first season's over, we'll report back and kind of give a deconstruction of the whole thing?
Definitely.
All right. Well, with that, I'm just going to say it's nice to have you back, Sophia. Maybe people are asking me to do sort of a final review of the Entertainment District arc. Do you think you might be able to do that?
Oh, yeah, I will.
All right. And with that, I just want to say I'm proud of you for watching anime, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Bye.
All right. That wasn't bad.
I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who supports the channel on Patreon. It really means a lot to me. If you might be interested in Patreon perks like early access to videos, uncut reaction videos, ad-free videos, and the opportunity to vote on which anime will be covered in the future, then click on the link in the video description. Thank you.